Max Verstappen just got knocked out before Q3 at Suzuka, the track he used to dominate. And if that sounds shocking, wait until you hear this. He was over 1 full second slower than Mercedes. 1 second. That's not a small gap. That's a complete collapse. But here's where it gets even worse. This wasn't a mistake. It wasn't traffic. It wasn't bad luck. Verstappen himself admitted something that Red Bull did not want exposed. I can't trust the car. And when a 4-time world champion says that, you know something is seriously wrong. Because while Mercedes locked the front row with total control, Red Bull didn't just fall behind. They lost understanding of their own car. And here's the detail that changes everything. A rookie teammate made it into Q3. Verstappen didn't. Same team. Same weekend. Completely different outcome. So this is no longer just about performance. This is about a hidden problem inside the RB22 that only shows up when the car is pushed to the limit. And if Red Bull can't fix it fast, this season might already be slipping away. Subscribe now, because what's really happening inside Red Bull is far worse than it looks. What makes this even more shocking is how it actually started. Because if you only look at the beginning of the session, nothing suggested a disaster. No crash. No obvious failure. No dramatic moment. Just a car that didn't feel right. And that's the problem. Because the RB22 doesn't fail in a visible way. It fails quietly. Subtly. Corner by corner. Lap by lap. Until suddenly, the time is gone. Now here's where things start to get uncomfortable. During free practice, Verstappen was already reporting issues. Not small ones. Fundamental ones. The car was unstable. First, too much oversteer. The rear stepping out. Difficult to control on entry. So the team reacts. They make changes overnight. They try to calm the rear. Make the car safer. More predictable. But instead of fixing it, they swing too far. Now the car understeers. It refuses to turn. It pushes wide in the exact corners where precision matters most. From one extreme to the other. And that's a huge warning sign. Because when a car reacts like that, it means the setup window is extremely narrow. Almost impossible to hit perfectly. And if you miss it, even slightly, the performance collapses. Now think about Suzuka. High speed. Flowing corners. Everything connected. If one part of the lap is wrong, the entire lap is compromised. And Verstappen feels it immediately. He can't lean on the rear. He can't trust the front. He's constantly correcting. Constantly adjusting. Never fully committing. And in Formula One, that hesitation costs everything. Now here's the detail most people didn't catch. Even when Verstappen improves, the car doesn't become predictable. It just becomes slightly less bad. Which is not enough. Not at this level. Not against a team like Mercedes that is executing perfectly. And this is where the real gap begins. Because while Red Bull is still searching for balance, Mercedes already has it. From the first lap. From the first corner. No guessing. No adaptation phase. Just pure confidence. And confidence is speed. Now let's go into Q1. Verstappen makes it through. But look closer. He's not comfortable. He's not attacking. He's surviving. Barely inside the cutoff. Already several tenths down. And that's the first real signal. Because when a driver like Verstappen is not pushing, something is very wrong. But here's where it gets even more revealing. The team tries to adjust again. Small changes. Fine-tuning. Trying to find that perfect window. But the RB22 doesn't respond in a linear way. It overreacts. Small adjustments create big consequences. And that makes it almost impossible to dial in. And this is exactly what Red Bull themselves admitted. There are aspects of the car they still don't fully understand. Think about that. One of the most dominant teams in Formula One admitting they don't fully understand their own car. That's not normal. That's a crisis. Because if you don't understand the car, you can't fix it. You can't predict it. You can't trust it. And neither can the driver. Now take that into qualifying. Limited laps. Maximum pressure. No time to experiment. No time to adapt. You either get it right immediately, or you're out. And Verstappen never finds that window. Not in Q1. Not in Q2. And that's why what happens next was almost inevitable. But still, unbelievable. And this is where everything falls apart. Because Q2 is where excuses disappear. No traffic. No yellow flags. No second chances. Just pure pace. And Verstappen goes out knowing one thing. This lap has to work. He pushes. Commits. Tries to extract everything from the car. But immediately, the same problem appears. High-speed corners. The rear moves. Not violently. But enough. Enough to break confidence. Enough to force hesitation. And at Suzuka, that hesitation is the difference between advancing or going home early. Now here's where the tension explodes. Final minutes of the session. Everyone improving. Track getting faster. Grip increasing. This is the moment where top drivers usually find something extra. That last tenth. That final push. But Verstappen can't. Not because he doesn't want to. Because the car won't allow it. He crosses the line. And it's not enough. 11th. Out. Just like that. And then, something happens that no one expected. A rookie. Arvid Lindblad. 18 years old. In a junior team car. Delivers a lap under pressure. And eliminates a four-time world champion. That's not just surprising. That's a statement. Because it shows something deeper. This is not about experience. It's not about talent. It's about the car. And how much confidence it gives the driver. Now here's where it becomes even more uncomfortable for Red Bull. Because inside their own garage, the comparison is brutal. Isaac Hadjar. Same team. Same weekend. Makes it into Q3. Verstappen doesn't. And that creates a question no one in Red Bull wants to answer. How can two drivers in the same machinery have completely different outcomes? But the answer is not simple. Because it's not just about speed. It's about adaptation. Hadjar comes in without expectations. No reference to previous cars. No fixed driving style. He adapts to what the RB22 is. Not what it should be. Verstappen does the opposite. He knows how a Red Bull should feel. He knows where the limit used to be. And this car doesn't behave like that. So every instinct, every reference point, works against him. And that creates friction between driver and machine. Now add one more layer. Pressure. Hadjar has nothing to lose. Every lap is an opportunity. Verstappen has everything to lose. Every lap is an expectation. And when the car is unpredictable, that pressure becomes even heavier. Now connect this to what Verstappen said after qualifying. The car doesn't give me the tools to attack. That's the key. Because Formula One is not about surviving laps. It's about attacking them. And if the car removes that ability, the driver is limited. No matter who he is. No matter how good he is. And that's exactly what we saw. Not a mistake. Not a bad lap. A limitation. Clear. Visible. Unavoidable. And the numbers confirm it. Over 1 second slower than Mercedes in the same session. That's not recoverable with driving. That's built into the car. Now here's where the situation becomes critical. Because this isn't a one-off. This is a pattern. The gap is not shrinking. It's growing. Race after race. Session after session. And Red Bull themselves admitted something even more worrying. They don't fully understand certain aspects of the car yet. Which means they don't just have a performance problem. They have a knowledge problem. And in Formula One, that's the worst kind. Because if you don't understand the issue, you can't fix it quickly. You can only experiment. Guess. Hope. And while you do that, your rivals move forward. And Mercedes is not waiting. They are executing perfectly. Every lap. Every session. No instability. No confusion. Just performance. And that's why the gap looks the way it does. But this is only part of the story. Because what happens over a full race distance makes this qualifying collapse look even more serious. And that's where the real consequences begin.